Welcome to another episode of Lifted Motors. Today, we have an awesome 2017 BMW M2. Now, the reason why I wanted to do a review on this particular car is people are saying that this could be the best BMW M car ever made. Now, I don't know if I agree or disagree. And before you start typing down below about what you think, how about you watch this video first? Let me go over some of the features on the outside and the inside, take it for a drive, let's talk about it a little bit, and then I want to see what your comments are on what you think is the best M car ever made. Starting at the front of the car, let's talk about the exterior a little bit. On this particular car, I like that they have the black kidney grills here, but what I don't like is that there's black surrounded by chrome. If this is my car, I'm gonna add the black finish to this just to set it off. It'll look a lot nicer. I do really like the huge intakes they have here in the front. These black intakes look really cool on this white standard BMW headlights here. These are really sick, these LEDs, the lines on them. Now, one thing I want to critique about the hood. It is a good looking hood. You can see some of the lines here and here, but I just feel they should have made it a little bit more of a bolster here in the middle or something to make it say, this is an M. It looks good, but I don't feel like it says this is an M enough. And honestly, as we go more and more through this car, because I've obviously spent some time myself already going through all of it, there's a few other places on this car where I feel like they could have done that. They could have done a little bit more to make it a little bit more special. This view of the car is actually my favorite vantage point of this car. I feel like it's the most visually appealing. It's not dead on to the front, it's not dead on to the side, it's kind of catty corner, and it gives you a really good view of the lines, the wheels, the fact that it kind of has that wide body in the back where the back is wider than the front. This is the best view of this car. And the reason why I say that is you can't really tell how short the back end is from this view. We'll talk more about that when we get to the side and the back of the car, but from this view, I feel like this is the best vantage point. These 19-inch black M wheels with the blue calipers, I think they look really nice on this white paint. Also picked up by the black accents. If you watch my other videos, I say a lot about how important I feel like the little details of the accents affect the whole package of the car, the way it pulls it all together. And I feel like they did a really good job because you have the black here, you have the black carbon fiber skirts in the front and the back side right here, and then you have the carbon fiber mirrors and this black accent with the M2 package there. It just picks up on each other and then it looks really clean. I like about this car the wide body look to it in the back. You can see as it's coming down, this fender bolsters out and it has a wide body look. Now, it's not over the top, it's not obnoxious, it's subtle, but I feel like it really improves the look and the stance of this car. Gloss black window lining here instead of the chrome, I like that a lot better, especially when you have black accents on a white car. I hate when there's chrome here, which brings me back why on the front grille, when the outside is chrome and the inside's black, it all needs to be black. It'll look better. Moving our way to the back of the car, we're getting to the part of the car that visually, I'm just not that in love with. I feel like the trunk looks like it got hacked off, it looks stubby, but if you like it, you like it. That's your opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. I like the carbon fiber exhaust tips here. It looks really cool. It has the quad exhaust. All M's have the quad exhaust, the M exhaust. Sounds really good. It's not, you'll hear it when we get started. It's not as loud as I'd want it to be, but it does have a really nice tone to it. Let's see how big this trunk is. Now you can see that it looks like it's tiny, but actually it is a decent sized trunk. A lot bigger than what I can fit in the R8, that's for damn sure. The black rear diffuser here looks really nice between these quad exhaust tips. Something else that I would do that's just simple that would set it off would be either a carbon fiber little lip here. There's already this white lip, but if that was carbon fiber, it would pick up on the black there, or even just black. Either one could be fine. Black would be a little bit cheaper than a carbon fiber piece, but it would pull the black that's around this rear window in with the top of the trunk with a little lip on the spoiler with the black diffuser there, and I think that would look really, really nice. We've pretty much gone over everything on the outside of the car. And I think they did a really good job overall on the outside with the way that they did the M badging. You know this is an M car. With the wide body, with the wheels, with the M2 in the front grille and on the side and the quad exhaust, you know it's an M. It looks mean, it looks aggressive. It's not over the top aggressive. I pointed out they could have done a little different with the hood or simple things like that. But overall, you're like, hey, that's a cool looking car, that's an M. But when we get to the inside, there's a few things that I feel like they left out that when you're sitting in there that would make it feel more special like an M car. And it starts with this. Now it has the key detection system, but look how simple this key is. There's nothing on this key that would tell you that this is an M car or a sports car even. You know, it's a cool looking BMW key, and some people might like that. They're like, I don't need a big M badge or red on there. You know, I like it to be discreet. But then other people are like, I just spent a lot of money on an M car and I want an M key. So that's kind of weird to me that they didn't do anything different from this key. This is the exact same key that goes to my wife's X3. So that's something they could have done a little differently in my opinion. Let's move to the inside of the car and I'll go over the features in there. Sitting in this car, the first thing I notice is I actually have a lot of room. I'm 6'2", about 215 pounds, and I have plenty of room in here. They did a good job making you feel like, even though this is a small car, it feels bigger than it really is. You can see the blue stitching on the seats. That's nice. It makes you feel or know that you're in an M car. It's pretty much everywhere. You got the blue and red on the steering wheel. You got it through the seats. You even have it on the rugs. That's pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that before. You got the M Performance here with some Alcantara. I've seen this carbon fiber or the Alcantara, and that Alcantara actually looks pretty cool. There is carbon fiber on the door seals here, on this middle console, underneath your infotainment knob. And then you have a nice little leather pad here where your knee goes, and that blue stitching is there too. For years now, BMW has done an awesome job with their infotainment system. You can now connect with your phone. You can send text messages to your cars, reminders. There's a 4G LTE hotspot that you can create with your car. Now those are obviously options through BMW that you have to pick. They don't come standard, but they are available. And they make it really convenient when you're trying to use this car as a daily driver, which I feel most people probably will. The seats are comfortable, but they're a little plain. You have the M in the back, but in my M4, they lit up, and it was just special. When that seat lit up like that, I just thought it was so cool. But these are comfortable, but like I said, they're just kind of plain. You know, they're adjustable, like most seats are in a car like this, but they're nice, they get the job done, but they're not as special as they could be. You have the M gear shift here, you have the M there, you have badges that remind you, and now this is the M steering wheel. This M steering wheel, it feels great. The paddle shifters even have little grooves here for your fingers. It feels really good on your hands when you're shifting. The steering wheel feels, it kind of has like that soft leather feel. It's secure, but it's also soft at the same time. I know that sounds oxymoronic, but if you felt the steering wheel, it would make sense to you. It's soft and stern at the same time. Moving into some of the infotainment features here, you have your navigation, your Bluetooth, pretty much all the standard options on a luxury car that you would have. You can go in here and you can go into your vehicle settings and actually set up your driver modes, which is really cool. Then here in the middle console, you can switch between comfort. There's no eco mode on this. If you're a BMW person, you know there's usually an eco mode there. What's interesting is they still have that stupid start stop. Now, you might already be mad at me saying it's stupid because you love the environment, and I love the environment too, but I don't want my stupid car turning off every time I come to a stoplight. In Arizona, it's hot a lot of the time of the year, and when your car turns off, the AC kicks off too, and it gets hot really fast when it's 115 degrees outside. So I always have that turned off on my BMWs. When doing research on this car, you know, one of the biggest knocks on it is the comfortability, the lack of comfortability in the ride. It has a comfort mode, but really it does ride a little rough driving it earlier, and then when I'm driving it here in a little bit, I'll talk more about it. You can switch into your sport mode, and then you can go to Sport Plus, which now takes off the stability control, which on this car, I don't know why you'd ever have it on. The Harman Kardon audio system that's in this car sounds really nice. It is an option, but it's an option I would go for because it sounds really clean and crisp. Minimal storage, it's a small car. You have a little bit of a back seat. I sure as hell wouldn't want to sit back there, but people could definitely sit back there. You could fit 4 people in this car. You wouldn't want to go on a road trip in it, but getting around town, it's doable. You could put 2 more people in here. Here in the middle console, you have your aux in and a USB port. Something I noticed, and I like to notice little simple details, I like that there's a USB import right there. So that way you can just plug your cord in, sit your phone right there, and you don't have to put everything inside here. I think that's a nice little touch that they added that. Plus that means there's 2. So if you have passengers, you both can charge your phones at the same time. Now, if you're not familiar with BMW M cars, this is their M gear shifter. Now, there's no actual park mode. So right now, to be in park, what you do is you put it in neutral, you pull the parking brake, and then when you press the button, you actually have to turn it off twice, and then that's when the parking brake is engaged and it's in park. But you'll see when we drive off, it's real simple. You just take the parking brake off, you put it in reverse if we're gonna back out of the warehouse or in drive or whatever, and you're good to go. It still acts like a automatic transmission. It's just a little bit different setup. Now that I've gone over a lot of the exterior and interior of the car, let's go drive it and let's talk about why this car is getting rumored as the best M car ever. So far I'm not sold, but I feel like when we go drive it, it's gonna paint a completely different picture. So let's go take it for a spin. We're on our way up to our driving spot right now, but while we're on our way up there, I want to talk a little bit about my first impressions of driving this car. Now, when I was doing my research on this car, a lot of the reviews were talking about how rough that it rides. You know, if you look at Motor Trend or you look at Auto Trader or any type of auto platform that gives reviews on cars, and they were saying what they like and don't like, and pretty much all of them said the same thing about what they don't like, and that was that they felt like it drove really rough. Now, it is a little bit rough, but it's not unbearable. It's not like you couldn't drive this every day and that it would bother you. Now, it might be a little bit different when we get to some different roads that aren't as flat as this, but so far it hasn't bothered me. Let's talk a little bit about the cars that this compares to. A lot of people have said that this compares to a Audi RS3, or it could compare to an Audi TTS. I've seen some people compare it to. I actually haven't driven either of those cars, but this does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. It's a 365 horsepower turboed inline 6, and it has, I believe, it does. It has a dual clutch 7-speed. Now, there is a manual transmission available for this car. So the interesting thing about that is people are saying that this is the first true M driving car they've made in a while. And what a lot of people mean by that is the M3, great car. M4, great car. I had an M4, and I told you about that earlier. I dined in it. I loved it. Extremely fast in a straight line. But honestly, it's so powerful that, I'm not a track driver. I'm not an expert driver, that you kind of had to leave a little bit of help on with the traction control when you wanted to drive aggressive, because it was just so much to handle. This car is kind of like a happy medium. It has excellent handling, has a short wheelbase, but what makes it so fun to drive is that it has just enough power that it's fun, it's quick, it's snappy, but it's not overwhelming where you feel like you can't handle it. And that's what they mean by that. And driving this car, I agree. I think that, no, it's not gonna leave you feeling like your hair got blown off, it was so fast, or like you're overwhelmed and in awe of the car. It more so feels like, hey, I'm a pretty good driver. When really this car, the way they set it up, it just makes you feel much more confident in your driving ability, which then turns to you having more fun driving the car, and it's not the fact that you're an expert driver. So my first impression is, this is really good. This is really good. For what it's meant to be, it's really good. A manual transmission in this car would actually be, I feel like it'd be right. Because of how this car drives, I feel like it was meant to have a manual transmission. Now, this dual clutch gearbox in here is sensational. It's amazing. It's sharp. These paddle shifters are so responsive. It's easy to go through the gears. And you know, if you're driving it through traffic, and you're not supposed to be texting and driving, but if you want to make a phone call or whatever, it's a lot easier when you have an automatic car. But if you're just buying this car just for pure driving pleasure, you might want to consider getting a manual. If you're a performance junkie like me, something that you might want to consider would be a dine-in tune for this car. Dine-in is a company that works with BMW, so that way you can tune your car, put aftermarket performance parts on it without losing your warranty. Now, this car is already incredible to drive, and I'm curious with the added horsepower if it would lose that balance. The more I think about it, what makes this car so special is the perfect balance between drivability and the power. And I'm wondering if you add that extra power to it, if it'll lose any of that at all. If you have an M2 and you have it dine-in or tuned and with more power, comment down below and let me know what you think about that, because I'm interested to know about that. Because usually in my book, more power faster is better, but in this car, that might not necessarily be the case. We got to stop over and get some gas, but I want to show you guys while we do that how this works to put it in park. So we were in drive, push it over into neutral, pull the emergency brake, press the button, press it one more time, and now it's in park. Shifting from comfort to Sport Plus, you can definitely hear a difference in your exhaust. It holds the revs higher when you're in Sport. I explained this in my last video, but if you didn't see it, if you have a car that has a Sport mode, what that does when you put it in Sport mode is it just holds the revs higher for you. So that way when you accelerate and the revs are held at a higher RPM, it's going to be more touchy and ready to go faster, and it's going to shift for you quicker. So that's the difference between having it. And then when you put it in comfort, some cars, when it adjusts the steering, the suspension, the comfort of the ride, and that's really what those modes do for you. So I don't feel much of a difference in the ride of the car when you put it in comfort, but when it's in Sport, or now I'm putting it in Sport Plus to take the traction control off, which is what I like doing in this car, because I can actually whip the rear end around and get some oversteer going. But I don't feel as much in the actual comfort of the ride, but more so in the sound and the responsiveness of the throttle. One other thing I just thought about too, when I was driving and we were talking about tuning this car, something that maybe you want to consider as well, they make a 240i M, or an M240i, which is below this. But if you dine in that car, it would be pretty comparable to this. That might be something to look into and consider as well. And if you've done that, I want to hear or see your comment below and what you think about that. We just got up to our driving spot, and what we're going to do first is we're going to do a quick hot lap around here to make sure one of our friends, aka the police, aren't sitting in this little spot that they've got up here now, where they sit back in the desert behind a bush like 20 feet off the road and just snag people like me driving way too fast making a car review video. So let me make sure that he's not there first, and then we'll start driving this thing a little bit more aggressively, and I'll tell you what I think. So I don't know how long the GoPro was on to recap some of the things I just said. I'm focusing on my driving, and I don't know if I had it on, but something I noticed is that, you know, the argument for paddle shifters is it keeps both hands on the steering wheel, which I agree is safer. But in this car, the way that this gear shift is shaped, you can shift just like you do with the paddle shifters with the gear knob here at the bottom. And the shape of it and the way it feels in your hand, it makes it feel more like you're driving a manual than it does with the gear shifters, but that's kind of comes down to a personal preference of what you like better. Up into that lane that I'm wanting to come back in. So it's kind of, this is the closest thing I can feel to a track up here would be, you know where you're trying to hit that track, where you're trying to hit that turn, and it's about being in control. It is a turbo car, so there really isn't much turbo lag. Awesome job on the turbo. 0 to 60 in this car is right around 4 seconds is what they say. Kind of feels faster than that, honestly. turn and still hitting it. It's letting me get the oversteer that I want. So we're gonna do a quick 0 to 60 here. Ready when you are.
Sure.
See if I break traction. Yeah, a little bit right there. It's pretty quick, man. I think that's faster than 4 seconds. It feels faster than 4 seconds for sure. Now, conditions right now are pretty damn good. 77 degrees, it's sunny. We're on nice pavement, straight. But every single source that I've looked at says 4 seconds, even some say 4.2. It feels faster than that. It's just like point and shoot, you know? I'm extremely impressed with this car. So much fun to drive. Definitely lived up to the hype. And I'm definitely going to give this a great score, and definite recommendation. If you're in the market for one of these, you've been looking at one of these, you won't be sorry. You'll have so much fun with it. You won't get bored driving it. It's not going to kill the bank. You know, it's still expensive. Brand new, they're in the 50s. You can find these used, and they hold their value okay. I think they're in the 40s for the most part, used ones, because they're relatively new. Something that you might want to consider as well on this car is that it could be, because of the acclaims that it's getting, that it's the last really well-made true driver's car. It could potentially hold its value long term. Don't hold me to that. I don't know if that's really going to happen, but it is possible that that could happen, and that would be absolutely awesome from an owner's point of view if you're going to hold on to it for a while. I think the manual will probably, just because the rarity of having a manual and not very many manufacturers, you can't even buy a manual M3 or M4 anymore. The fact that you can buy a manual M2, that truck is coming over on us, that would make it even a little bit more special, something to consider if you want a manual transmission. So, you know, I would just say overall, this car, excellent job. I think they did an excellent job. Yeah, they missed on some of the few details and everything, but when you're buying this car, you're not buying this car for the damn seats. You're buying this car for the way it drives, and this car drives absolutely awesome. So, well done, BMW. I wanted to review this car because of everything everybody's been saying about it and the reviews I've been seeing on it, and it definitely lived up to it. I agree with it. I want to say definitely, if you're in the market for one of these, this car actually belongs to Galleria Motor Cars of Scottsdale. They'll take care of you over there. Go ask for Vinny. They do an awesome job with their cars. They take care of them really well. They treat their customers right. So make sure that if you're in the market for one of these, you guys, I'll put the link down below. You guys can go check them out. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you're new to my channel, I really appreciate you guys stopping by and watching this video. Check out some of the other videos that'll be linked at the end of this video. We've done some awesome reviews with some of my other cars, and we're going to be doing a bunch more now. This is something I really enjoy doing, and I'm thankful to be able to do it. So we're going to do a bunch more of it as long as you guys keep watching, and I hope that's the case. So I'm Brent Simmons. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully one day your dream car will become your real car. Stay tuned for the next episode of Lifted Motors.